Dating is hard, but marriage is harder when it's toxic. Am I the a-hole to divorce my husband and leave him with the kid after finding out I'm not biologically the mom? This story was first posted August 5th, 2024. I can't believe my life has come to this. All I ever do is go out of my way to help others, but on the few occasions I need help, nobody ever comes through for me. I, 36 female, have been with my husband, 35 male, for a total of almost 10 years, married for 7. We had what I thought was my child by surrogate over 2 years ago because after 4 years of trying to conceive with no success, despite medical interventions, it turns out I am unable to carry a child to term. I'm so sorry. I'd always wanted to be a mom. Devastated is an understatement regarding how I felt when I found out I have a medical condition that would make it nearly impossible to carry a baby to term. It was even more upsetting when I had to get a major surgery to remove growths with the hope to increase fertility, and complications during surgery warranted a partial hysterectomy involving removal of my uterus only. My sister just went through that. She had to get a full hysterectomy last year. Very sad times. I feel really bad for women who want to have kids and can't have them. Like, it makes me want to tear up and cry for you. I still had my ovaries, so we started looking into the cost of a surrogate. It is really expensive. My close friend since college, who already had 2 kids of her own, offered to serve as the surrogate for us to cut down on costs. After 2 disappointing IVF sessions that did not result in pregnancy, she became pregnant on the 3rd try and carried a boy to term for us. I was so happy and busy after the birth, between being a mom and returning to work after a 4-week parental leave, so I didn't notice any warning signs. I should have noticed the red flags and warning signs early on, but did not because I was so exhausted from working so much at my stressful job and 2 part-time jobs to cover most of the bills and anticipated medical and legal costs associating with this friend becoming our surrogate. I was the primary breadwinner. My friend and my husband started talking more, and I would sometimes come home from my weekend job to find her already hanging out at our house when my husband was there. If you are about to tell me that your husband and your friend came up with this whole surrogate plan and then actually just knocked boots and had her and his baby and pretended it was yours, I'm gonna lose my mind and all faith in humanity at that point. I chucked it up as innocent, and it's good for her to know my husband better since she was in the process of hopefully carrying our child for us. I was grateful to have someone helping us have a child. I also thought it was weird that our son has brown eyes when both of us have blue. Then I found out that while this is uncommon, it's possible sometimes due to many genes controlling eye color. Recently, it all came to a head when I took our son to our doctor's appointment, and they had a metabolic panel and blood test which showed that he had a blood type that is not biologically possible to have with me as his mother. He's B+, I'm A+, and my husband is O+. Immediately, I started worrying it was the fertility clinic's fault and they had messed up and implanted a wrong embryo. I started lining up lawyer consultations to possibly sue the clinic and look into having a DNA parentage test done. The test results showed that I am not the mother, but my husband is still the father. I was heartbroken and angrier than ever, talking to lawyers about medical malpractice in the fertility clinic we used. Then my husband confessed that he had slept with my friend, our surrogate, on a few different occasions during our struggle to have her get pregnant with our embryos. I'm done. I'm officially done with humanity. This is my exit. This is my breakup with humanity. We're over. This means what I thought was our son conceived by IVF and carried with a surrogate isn't my son at all, and is in fact conceived the old-fashioned way, which I can't ever do. Livid and almost broken at the same time doesn't even begin to describe how I feel. I have been breaking down into crying spells over and over again about this. He claims he didn't ever think pregnancy could result because he pulled out, and he had always assumed that he was the reason for our earlier struggles to conceive. This is an affair. Take getting pregnant, whatever, out of it. This is an affair.
You cheated on me when I specifically asked you not to?
With my friend. both before my hysterectomy and during IVF insemination process with this friend. I felt an immediate triple betrayal from what was supposed to be my husband, my friend, and now knowing my child isn't really mine. I had such white hot rage and delirium. I immediately left home and stayed at a hotel for almost a week before asking my parents to let me stay at home for a while. I admit I left our son with him. I am now filing for divorce because he cheated and betrayed me in the worst possible way. I have also cut off my friendship with my friend, the surrogate, and feel afraid to trust anyone else now. I've seen a divorce lawyer to see about giving up my legal rights to this kid so I don't have to face such betrayal or owe child support. My husband and friend/surrogate admit that they were wrong and keep apologizing, but also called me immature and heartless to just give up on my son like that. My parents also say I can't just give up on the kid that I went through so many legal and medical hoops to have. When I told them I refused to stay in a cheater marriage and I'd rather adopt someday with a better, more trustworthy partner, they also told me I was wrong and that maintaining my parental rights isn't much different than if I adopted outright. All right, parents, we're going to need you to chime in here because how would you feel? Mothers, if this happened to you from a father perspective, I need to know. I don't have, obviously, that bond with a child where I could say, if I found out it wasn't mine, under those circumstances, would I want to stick around? Could I stick around? I need some insight from actual parents out there. If you found out this happened with your child, I need to know. They said it isn't blood that makes a family. They are all about me divorcing my cheater husband, but they keep telling me I'm making a mistake giving up my parental rights. Some of my other friends agree with what I'm doing. A few admitted they weren't big enough to swallow pride and care for an affair baby or to see daily reminders of my friend/surrogate's betrayal every time I look at her son. I just want a clean break and a fresh start. I'm also looking at relocating several states away. Am I the a-hole to give up my parental rights in the divorce because a kid I paid a lot of money to have been born by surrogacy isn't biologically mine at all, but the surrogates? I'm like, we gotta sue somebody here. I am so angry and upset for you. It's insane. I don't know. I don't think you're an a-hole for any of the emotions you're feeling in this moment because how do you process something like that? We have an update though. Let's see what happened. Let me know your thoughts. The update came 5 months later. I'm low on time right now, but we'll be posting a separate update later. I'm not staying and I'm not caring for him anymore. I was not even offered a choice in the matter at all, which is why I've kept telling myself I shouldn't want to compare myself to men in a simpler type of parent situation, and I've kept myself aloof toward the boy I thought was mine. I have no legal rights anymore, no matter what, because she fought to get her son back. It's just getting worse. I actually am a lot more set about losing this child than I presented in my post, and I'm realizing more and more with each passing day. The choice wasn't mine, and I lost. I posted that I wouldn't want to be the sucker raising someone else's kid as more of a coping than anything. She got to have her kid, he left me, and I'm stuck with nothing. This is a nightmare. I can't even process that this is a real story, because that is a nightmare. A woman's nightmare, a mother's nightmare. Sick people in the world. They're sick. We are never getting back together, humanity. Ever. I found out my wife has been getting a coworker to spy on me at work. This was posted September 27th, 2016. Oh my gosh, we got some old stories happening. We have been married for 5 years and together for 8. Not really great at writing, so apologies in advance. It's okay, I'm not really great at reading. I'll try to include as much info as I think is relevant, but please feel free to ask me for more in the comments if I wasn't clear on something. My wife has been jealous of a coworker at my job for some time now. Her name is Heather, and she's in her early 20s, tall, pretty. Just some observations as I have a pair of eyes. Heather is nice, but I don't go out of my way to talk to her. We have worked together on a project about 8 months ago, which is when this seems to have started. Heather, 3 other coworkers, and I were assigned to this project, and so for a good month, we spent much time together at work. My wife saw her one day when we were all coming out, and she was picking me up to go to dinner with my parents. She immediately asked who she was and if she worked at my job. I told her she was new and was put on our project. For the entire duration of the project, my wife was in a bad mood almost every day and would take every opportunity to tear Heather down, saying she was lanky or her nose was crooked or whatever. whatever. That is projection of your insecurities, tearing down other women. She is insecure about her height because she's 5'4" and not 6 foot tall glamazon. Quote from the wife. Her words, not his. I love my wife's height and her petite figure and tell her this every day. She is extremely gorgeous and turns heads whenever we walk downtown. But once she saw Heather was tall and not ugly, she was convinced that I thought she was hot. I kept telling her that she was just a colleague and that I have no interest in her. Girl, you sound like a freaking model. What do you mean? Come on now, babe. We gotta know our worth. Regardless, she would greet her coldly or not at all if she saw my colleagues. Our home and jobs are located downtown, so we usually walk to meet up with each other after work. My wife would start dressing up a lot more than usual when she would come to meet me and make a big show of jumping on me and stuff. Oh no. She works at a very nice bakery and usually brings leftovers from work for us or people at my job. She always gave things out to everyone except Heather. Eventually, Heather picked up on the hostility and approached me to ask about why my wife was acting this way. I simply told her I didn't know, maybe because she didn't know her as long as the other colleagues, and that's why she was distant. She seemed to accept that, but would no longer leave at the same time as everyone else and would either go early or hang back. Brian, another coworker, approached me on Friday and asked to talk to me privately. He told me he had been on lunch with Kate, the coworker in question, and she had gone to pay for the food. She left her phone on the table. It was lit up with a text, and he saw it was from Valerie, my wife's name. The text basically said, "Did you see him talking to her today? What did he say? Then, do you think Heather is going to stay at the job long?" When Kate came back to the table, he asked her if that was Valerie, as in my wife. She got a deer in headlights look and said, "Oh yeah, we text sometimes. We're friends." He said he thought it was weird because she put her phone in her purse without even checking the messages he had asked about, and then she wanted to go. Oh. I went home and I snooped on my wife's phone. I know it was wrong, but I had a feeling that if I asked her, she would deny it or become defensive and not show me the phone. There were weeks worth of texts that basically were little reports on what went on at work. If Heather talked to me, what we talked about, did she hug me goodbye? Did she touch me at all? Did I laugh at her jokes? Did the guys think she was hot? Did I join in with them? Did I look like I was flirting? Kate was apparently talking up Valerie at work to Heather. She made sure to mention often that we were married, how great Valerie was, how long we'd been together. I even read one that said, "I told her Val works in a bakery. I bet if anyone tried to steal her husband, she would just chop them up and bake them into a pie," which was pretty effing creepy. Yeah, I would say. A lot of things started coming together then. Heather was much more distant lately. She seemed hesitant to say bye at the end of the day. We used to talk casually like everyone else at work, but now she would just say hi and bye mostly. I've been sitting on this information all weekend. Today at work, I could hardly look at Heather for shame, and I couldn't look at Kate for my disgust. I haven't been able to approach my wife about this because I just don't know how or what to say. Well, yeah, you're gonna have to admit that you snooped through her phone. I feel frustrated and very much weirded out. I feel gross too, like I've had every move watched without knowing it, and as if just talking to a coworker is doing something wrong. I haven't talked to anyone about this, not even Brian, who first mentioned it. I don't know what to do from here. I don't even know what this means for our relationship. It feels like something big has changed because I haven't been able to look at her the same way, and all my interactions with her since Friday have been kind of forced or faked. I need to talk to her and figure out what to do. Honesty is the best policy, so they say. Rip the frickin' band-aid. Tear it off, throw it in the wind. You gotta talk about it. And we have an update, and I think they probably talked about it. It actually really helps to have a mirror to put this on. Took the general advice and confronted Valerie and used therapy as a non-negotiable term. So Tuesday, when I posted, I saw Kate at work and I bluntly said, "You don't need to report on me today or any day after this. I'll be talking to my wife after I'm done today." I would have paid to see that interaction. She got this blank look on her face and said she didn't know what I meant, but I noticed her hanging around significantly less than usual after that. I did my best to focus on my work, but I asked to go home early because it was just impossible with everything looming ahead for me to concentrate. I went home and I texted my wife that I was home early and I needed to talk to her when she was done with work, so to please come home right away. I got a bunch of "what's going on, what's wrong" texts, but I just kept telling her I would talk to her at home. Two things. One, she's probably thinking, that you're going to tell her you've had an affair with this girl, because in her head, she's already convinced herself of that. Or two, Kate has already texted her right away and said, girl, he just came up to me and he just said, like, he knows, girl, he knows I've been reporting. One or two things. She got home and I got into it right away. Told her I knew about the text with Kate, about the spying, the harassment of Heather. She was mad at first and kept adamantly saying she did nothing wrong, and if I had nothing to hide, why did it matter? I told her to please not play me for a fool and outlined all the things her behavior meant, like lack of trust and sheer vindictiveness. I brought up the consequences, like my damaged trust and drama in the workplace. I also brought up how my job could be at risk because of this. She made a point to say they couldn't fire me without also removing Heather, as she'd say she was being inappropriate towards a married man in the workplace, and Kate would back her up. That brought us to a heated argument, and it ended up with her crying and me yelling. She started asking, who the F is Heather to you that you give so much of a crap anyway? And it derailed into this whole thing about me caring too much about someone I claimed meant nothing to me. I don't want to get into too much detail because this would be extremely long, but the conversation was a good 5 to 6 hours long. It ended with her agreeing to go to couples therapy and individually if the couples therapist so deemed it. She apologized to me a lot and admitted that she had been acting out of jealousy and anger towards Heather. She asked if I wanted her to apologize to Heather in person, but I said no, I didn't want there to be any more drama. I watched as she texted Kate and told her to stop and that she was sorry for dragging her into this. She gave me the password to her phone for transparency, but I told her it was pointless, as if she really wanted to continue, she could just delete the text before I saw them or change the name or whatever. I told her I expected her to keep her word and to stop, because if I got any indication that this was still going on after our talk, that I would separate from her and file for divorce. Yesterday morning, things seemed tense, but it was to be expected. She still kissed me before going to work and we had a normal text conversation on our commute. I get to work and Kate apologizes to me and I accept it, but I tell her our work relationship from here on out is forever changed and there's no going back from it. She accepted it and went on to start the day. Lunch rolls in. I ask Brian if he'll let me buy him lunch and thank him for telling me. We go to have lunch and he asks me if I've heard Heather put in her request for a transfer. Apparently on Tuesday when I left early, Heather asked why I wasn't at my desk because she had brought over this week's project booklet and had seen me there earlier. Kate, of all people, told her I had gone home to deal with personal issues. When Heather asked if everything was all right, Kate told her she hoped so because, quote, I don't want to see someone come between Valerie and World's Gone Mad's marriage. There must have been a bit more to the exchange because Heather went all the way up to our boss's boss and asked for a transfer to a different department. I feel extremely embarrassed because without a doubt, I feel like that guy now in the office. I know Brian isn't a gossip, but of course people will ask why Heather transferred, and without a doubt, it will eventually come out. People who used to talk to me casually probably will stop. The woman in the office will feel as if they need to keep their distance, and I feel so ashamed that I can't even approach Heather to apologize for the stress this must have caused her. I doubt she would even want to see my face at this point. So yes, my wife has agreed to counseling, both couples and individuals, apologized to me, all of those things. But the damage is done and I feel like complete crap about work now. I guess I shouldn't have been so naive to think that just fixing this with my wife would make everything else go away. And it is frustrating if truly nothing was going on. Nothing but platonic work relationship. You just happen to be a good-looking gal and you have some coworker's wife convinced and spying that you're having an affair with her husband. That is annoying and stressful as well. You know what time it is. We are hydrating. You know what? This water bottle is leaking. I have caught it twice. I am going to be furious. I just bought you. You weren't necessarily cheap either, and I love you. I'm so upset. Cheers. That was good lip gloss pour, baby. Killing it. Am I the a-hole for being mad at my husband for saying he would pick his deceased wife over me? This came January 24th, 2025. My 34 female husband, 37 male, was married once before me. She was his high school sweetheart. They started dating their junior year, survived long distance during college, and got married when they were both 23, very shortly after graduating college. She passed away unexpectedly at age 26. from an aneurysm, and it obviously devastated him, especially because they were extremely young. They never had children. He contemplated remarrying because he was so heartbroken, but we ended up meeting about 4 years after that. That is so sad. So sad. We got married when I was 31 and he was 34 and have 2 children. The other day, we were at a friend's potluck gathering. Everything was going well until one of our friends brought up a new topic that had to do with relationships. She is newly divorced, so it was about her divorce. Others were chiming in with past relationships from high school, college, etc. I said I've never thought I would get married because my luck with men has always been terrible until I met my husband, and I said I felt very lucky to have met him. After a little while longer, my husband brings up his deceased wife. Everyone knows he was married before me and that she passed. He was talking about her and then drops a bomb and goes, "If she walked through that front door right now, I would pick up where we left off." That is such a bizarre thing to think about because my biggest fear is losing Matt, like my partner. I'll cry if I think about it because we lost Matt's mom and I saw what his dad went through and I'm like, we all have to say goodbye one day. Guys, I will spiral right now. So it happens all the time in life where people lose their partners so much earlier than obviously they want or plan to. And I always think about, I'm like, part of you might feel like you have to move on because life continues on, and maybe part of you wants to after certain years. But the reality is you never wanted to break up with that person. They passed away. You would have still been with them if they were alive. That's such a weird thing to process, you guys. So weird. I'm gonna start spiraling. I really am. If I'm being honest, it felt like someone put my heart into a blender and punched me in the gut as hard as they could. Everyone in the room could sense the awkwardness that followed. To avoid making a scene, I just laughed it off, though I think it was still obvious that it hurt me. I just felt that if you still felt that way, then why are we married? I've never asked him to get over his wife. I've never had a deceased spouse or even a deceased partner, so I am unsure how that feels. But I would never say that in front of my new spouse. After the gathering, we left and I did not speak to him the entire car ride home or barely the entire night. I did tell him that what he said hurt my feelings deeply and that we could talk about it in the morning once I've calmed down because I didn't want to say anything mean to him. I ended up sleeping on the couch because he would not leave me alone. It's now the next morning and I barely slept. He is still sleeping. I'm not really sure what to say or what he will say. We have an update. It came January 25th. FYI, alcohol was not involved in the sense that he wasn't drunk. My husband is 6'3" and almost 250 pounds. He had eaten quite a bit and had 1 beer. He was practically sober when he said it. Anyway, we talked. I asked him to let me go first and to not interrupt. All right, so this is what she said, in quotes. "Me, I just want to say that I do not hate you for what you said. I understand where you were coming from. She died and it was something neither of you saw coming. I would never ask you to get over her or to forget her because I know how much you loved her. She was your first love. I do understand that if she hadn't passed, we likely would not be together and you two likely would. I have always understood this, but to say what you said hurt my feelings and embarrassed me. And even though her coming back from the dead is impossible, if it were, you would leave me and the children? It was probably one of the worst things anyone has ever said to me. It is clear your feelings about her are still raw and it still hurts, and I want you to get counseling, and I want couples counseling very, very soon." He then apologized profusely. I teared up and said how he did not mean to hurt me and embarrass me in front of our friends. He basically said that he thought about it before he went to sleep and came to the realization that he should have just kept it to himself. I mean, I can't be angry at what he thinks. He loved her and she died. His feelings are also valid here. Also said that he would never leave me and the children and that what he said was just a poorly thought out and poorly worded statement. That he was not thinking clearly when he said it. He immediately felt that maybe it came out wrong. I asked how he would feel if I said that to him. He said, "Yeah, it's bad. I know. I shouldn't have said it. I wouldn't be happy. I know you aren't happy. I should have apologized in front of everyone as soon as I said it, or not have said it at all." I then asked him to think of the children, and I said, "It's like you were saying, hey, kids, if my dead wife walked through the door, I would pack my bags and never speak to you again." And then it really got uncomfortable. After some silence, he asked if I wanted a divorce. So I asked him why he would think I would want a divorce just to see what he would say. He said says he doesn't know. I didn't answer his question and said we needed to look into counseling, that he needed to get counseling for himself and that we would go to couples counseling. And if the answer is no, I am not interested in moving forward. This isn't 100% about the comment anymore. I need to know if he is willing to make the necessary changes and put in the work to fix what he messed up. Because if he were to dismiss my feelings or not want counseling, it means he doesn't think this was that serious and that he may not take me seriously. I also said this to him. Some of the comments also told me to take the kids elsewhere. I agreed with this part because it would be difficult to get through this while also parenting. I've got a very young daughter and a son that is a toddler. They are currently with my parents for the weekend and I'll be getting them Sunday night, so this gives us time to really work. He suggested he sleep on the couch instead of me. I have nowhere else to go. I haven't told my parents because I really would like to keep this between me and him as much as possible. Family and friends jump to judge too fast and sometimes offer extreme and harmful advice, and it's also embarrassing. Luckily, we both have very good insurance that will help with counseling. I told him that it seems like whatever counseling he got after her passing was not enough and that he was not consistent with it like he should have been. With trauma like that, I personally would have been in counseling for years before I even considered remarrying. He agreed. He was only in it for about a year and then stopped once he moved away from his hometown. Never got back into it. He also agreed to individual and couples counseling. He kept apologizing, kept telling me he loved me all day. It also was so difficult to be around him because he kept looking at me and I couldn't think. It was like he would try to say something and then he would just stare and not say anything. With the kids gone, there's nothing to really do except talk. So we talked again right before dinner time. He asked me if I wanted to cook or buy something. I still was not hungry, to be honest, so I just told him he could pick up something for himself and that I wasn't hungry, and that prompted the second discussion. Realized he must feel very bad because he noticed I hadn't really eaten much all day. He kept asking me to eat. I wasn't sulking too bad or anything, just doing my usual tasks, but not speaking or eating as much, and because we're home together all day, he noticed this. Asked me one more time to please eat dinner with him, so I agreed. During dinner, he told me he looked for counselors himself and wanted me to see if I thought they were okay enough and that he would keep looking. After all of that, I told him that we can't really predict anything until we've met with the therapists. I don't want him to keep saying sorry. I want to work and change and then maybe we can move forward, but this is the first step. I don't want to just leave him. I'm also not saying divorce is off the table though. I think he's still hurting from her death and his judgment is very, very clouded. If he didn't love me, I doubt he would have apologized so many times and looked for counselors on his own. A man that doesn't love me probably would have made me look or rejected going altogether. Many people were suggesting this. I do not think he doesn't love me. I thought of this myself. I cried. Thought of my children. I cried more. I'm not staying for the kids. I'm staying because I want to at least try to fix. If it cannot be fixed, then at least I tried. I need thoughts and opinions on this because this situation, I think about it all the time. I really do, because it's such a big fear of mine, obviously. And it's such a complicated and such deep human emotions from both sides and every angle. I need some of your thoughts and feelings, and I hope to God none of you in the comments went through something like this. It will devastate me, but you might have insight if you did. Stay classy out there, you guys. Say sassy. I mean, you can say sassy, but stay sassy, and I'll see you in the comment section.